Hi y'all, Easy Slider here. Now, I know you got something on your mind when the question turns to money. Now, let me ask you this. Is love going to break the bank? What do you think? I think that's a pretty fair question to ask because the last time I looked at my money tree, it wasn't producing any new money. But let's be real. Does a yard gnome sleep with its eyes open? How am I supposed to know? I don't lay in people's yards at night looking at yard gnome eyes. Yard gnomes. Jeez, where did that thought come from? Yeah, I know you need answers. So, where's my flashlight? All right. Now, go ahead and watch the intro. And if you hadn't subscribed, subscribe because I need to go look for a new battery for my flashlight. And so go ahead and take care of subscribing and everything. I'll be back just a second, okay? Let me go get a battery. Just like the yard gnomes, we don't know if it sleeps with its eyes open, and we don't know the price of dating and marriage. The reason why is because there's so many factors. And what we're going to do is we're going to touch on some where we can better understand why it's so hard to put a price on something like this. There are many things that are required when you're going to marry an Asian. Although these things don't have to be done in any particular order. So I'm just going to start off, okay? You have a choice. You can, if you want to do one thing, you can do it first or do the other first. So let's just get to the basics and just get started. Now, the first basic thing that I think about is where do you live? Because I can tell you, your location plays a big part in the cost. Because you or her will be required she'll either have to come here or you'll have to go there. You're going to be required to meet each other. Now, I suggest you go there for a bunch of reasons. Some more simple reasons is it's to be a nice vacation. You're going to better learn her way of life, and that's important. It makes sense that that if you live on the West Coast, it's going to be less expensive than if you live on the East Coast. The farther you live, the longer and more costly the trip. You're going to be required to meet in a 2-year period of time before you complete all your requirements. Now, some people don't want to get married right away. Some want to take longer. So maybe instead of making one trip, they make 2 trips or even more. That's up to them. But I think you can see real quick when you start adding plane trips on, you're adding a lot of money. Prices on planes also change, and even in the same trip in different days. One day a ticket might cost $1,500 as an example, and the next day the same trip might be $2,000. But even crazier is even on the same day on a different carrier it'll be different. Some price differences depend on different carriers, while others depend on which direction they fly. There's 2 or 3 different routes, the amount of time in the air, the number of stops involved. But I can tell you, because of the distance, there's going to be stops to change planes. From where I live, it takes 3 jets. You quickly find that there's many variables which affect cost. I'll say one word of caution, though. Stick to the better booking agencies. A lesser-known agency might give you a better price, but you could end up with a lot worse experience, okay? So already, you see naming a total price is like very hard or next to impossible. Now, let's talk about the money spent meeting the qualifications for both countries. Before we even get started with this part, I need to mention this is the part where if you have help, it's easier. Okay, repeat after me. I need help. And you do. Now, the forms are confusing or even hard to find, and especially if you don't know where to look. For that reason, I have a couple of videos that will help you to find the forms, and then you can look at them and find which ones pertain to you. So go back and check out my old videos and be sure and watch those. They're going to be a huge help to you, all right? Also, many of my other videos will teach you things that'll make life a lot easier also. So take a little time, spend a little time going back through my videos and checking out some of those. And I can tell you that if you'll use the advice of some of those videos that I've made in the past, it'll be a lot easier on you. Now, mainly the factor that makes such a big difference in price as far as the forms and everything are concerned are children. Or even maybe possibly parents might come. Never mind, just skip that girl. Find another one where the parents wants to stay there. Now, each person is going to have a different number of forms to fill out depending on their special needs, all right? Each form has a different price. So, one of them is going to be one price, and one of them is going to be a whole lot more, and one of them is going to be a little bit less. So your cost is going to be different from one person's cost to the next person's cost because of the number of forms that you'll be using in the different forms, because they all cost different. Are you starting to get the bigger picture? So many variables, so many different costs. Don't quit now, though. You're tough. You can handle it. Let's talk about the exciting part where you get to meet her. Oh, man, that's the best part, all right? Now you've made it. You're past the first obstacles, and you're working on the form requirements. You've already started sending in maybe some, or you're going to get with her, and you're going to work on them with her. But now is the fun time. Even this as being the exciting time, there's still a lot to consider. Where will you go while you're there? What hotels are you going to be staying in? Where are you going to be staying? What cities? How many upscale restaurants will you take her to? Catching on? What's your plans for exploring the different cities and the beautiful places that you want to go to? Are you traveling by Uber or bus? Don't forget the must-take rides like the trikes and the jeepneys. Got to try those. Here's my point. Everything you're doing is costing money, and each time you change from a bus to an Uber to a trike, the money is different. There's just no way that you know in advance how much that's going to cost because it changes by the hour. Another thing, are you going to get married in her country or your country? It's very different. So you have to know, just a heads up, if you get married in her country, it's going to take longer. And you know what they say, time is money. And it is. Are you seeing the variables? Every step of the way, each change means a different cost, so it's just really impossible to calculate. But let's go further. When you return home and you finished all the requirements and you're cleared, and then it's time for her to come to your country, if that's your plan. If it's not, then you'll be going to her country. But either way, someone has to make a trip. If it's her and she has children, then again, the price of plane tickets have to be considered. Finally, they're all in your country and it's time to get married. Wow, how many different ways can you do marriage and how many different costs? Man, that's unlimited, okay? Just one more thing now. You see, there's no way to figure price because as sure as the plans are made, something's going to change. You know that. That's why you always know you have to, you're going to have an unwanted friend. There's somebody coming that you might as well plan for. Yep, for sure. Mr. Murphy. He's going to stop by with his law and cause problems and cost you money every single time. So just remember, Murphy's Law is coming to visit, so plan on it. Wait, do you see it? Look, it's like a light at the end of the money tunnel, right? No, it's just a teaser. A teaser light. You think it's all over once you're married? Not a chance. Not a chance. Next question is it ever going to stop? Within 90 days of marriage, new requirements. More forms are required. After you're married, there's always new forms. Every few years, remember, these forms cost money. Now, to answer the question, will it ever stop? The answer is yes. No. Let me explain. There's a way it will stop, but you can't even do that for 5 years. So, prior to the 5-year period, you have to fill out new forms. You have to change some status. Now, if you don't plan ahead for the 5 years, then it's going to continue on. But here's how you can make it stop. At 5 years, you have a chance for her to get her citizenship. She can apply at 5 years. Now, it's not something you think about a week before the 5 years gets here and you go, oh, let's do it. No. Plans have to be made, and finally a test taken. So way before the 5-year period, start studying and filling out the forms. Yeah, forms. Do you think you're going to get away from that? Remember, the forms are costing more money. Now, 5 years, if she takes her citizenship test and passes it, the cost stops. Maybe. There is one last form, and I do want to mention it because it's going to be an important one. I suggest you do it. And it's one of the lowest costing forms that you'll get for the whole time you're doing all of this. Now, you don't have to get it, but be smart. Go ahead and get it. It's not a lot of work, and it's pretty cheap. It's dual citizenship. Now, this is going to allow her to be a dual citizen. When she becomes a U.S. citizen, she loses her Philippine citizenship. So, if she don't do the dual citizenship, she won't be a Philippine citizen anymore. So, this will allow her to be both, and she can come and go between the United States and the Philippines and everything as a citizen. Whole lot easier all the way around. Finally, you've reached the end of the trip. If you go back in my videos and you find the detailed information on all the things we were talking about, on the forms and other suggestions that's going to help you out, trust me, it's going to help you understand the requirements and what's involved. And that's very important. Now you ask, what's the cost to marry a woman from Asia? And I ask you, does a yard gnome sleep with his eyes open? I think you get it now. Even as vague as it is, I can say it's going to cost you thousands. The air tickets, the forms, the dating, the whatisit, the citizenship. It's going to cost you some dollars. For me, it costs more than most people because I had the girl I was dating had a problem, and we had to go to court to fix it, and that was lawyers and court time. That added about 1.5 years onto it, and a lot of money. But you shouldn't have that problem. Now, if you follow my provisions in the videos, you should be able to avoid problems that I had, okay? And that'll be good. Now, my final thought to you is, sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil and a bottle of whiskey. Even if you don't drink, you're going to need to make an exception this time, I do think. First, find all the forms you need and write them down with the cost on them. Then the cost of the air and a huge guess at what you're going to be spending while you're there with her. Now, an even bigger guess at the wedding cost. Stop for a big drink. Then, form cost after marriage. This should absolutely give you no freaking idea what it's going to cost. How about another drink? On a final note, if you found the right girl, I can tell you, it's all worth it. Don't think about the money. Focus on what's really important in life, and that's finding somebody that's going to be by your side and make you happy. How about another drink? Just do it. Just do it. Don't even think about it. Okay. I can hear you thinking, Slider, is it cheaper to live in Asia Then the United States, you're not ready for that yet. Get the basics finished first, and then we'll talk about it. But you might be happily surprised. I said might. Okay. Are you ready? Let's slide on over to our next life-changing video. You can go ahead and finish the bottle now.